So this is what West Virginia looks like in the daytime. Sort of. Oh my god, what is wrong with this thing? Hey, guess what?
What? Our luggage cart has a flat tire.
How does that even happen?
I
You did it? Jerk. We're in West Virginia. This little side road, stop at a gas station. I'm pretty sure I hear banjo music. Okay, so this place is pretty cool. It was Mike's idea to stop here. We were just driving through West Virginia in Fayette County, and we came across the old Whipple company store, and they offer tours there. It's so cool. Just hearing about like the way miners are treated was terrible, and it's still pretty bad. But we've been exploring the building a little bit, and right now we're up in a part called the Ballroom, which the coal baron made this room for his wife to be able to host like parties and events and things like that. She was telling us they do haunted tours here, that it's pretty scary stuff, some scary old stories that they like at one point during a measles outbreak like 600 babies died here or something like that. But the building itself is it's old, it's being restored so that it can be, back to, I guess, restoring it back to the way it was. But it's got this old elevator that you actually have to operate by hand. And actually inside the shaft here is this there's this secret second floor down in there where they actually used to keep the coffins for the miners that died in accidents, stuff like that. So it's a really cool building, really cool tour. Definitely check it out. WhippleCompanyStore.com is the website for this place. Check it out. I highly recommend it. So, and apparently this rope is the original rope, so it's been here since whenever they put it in, which is a long time ago. Upstairs is the ballroom.
Probably around 100 years.
I mean,
at least.
Upstairs is the ballroom, which I showed earlier. Then there's the secret second floor up here where they used to store coffins and things like that. We're on the...
You can't see it at all.
Yeah, it's hard to see. You can kind of see there's like an empty space in there. It was between the first and second floor. And then this floor is where we had the store and all that kind of stuff. This is the old freight elevator. Down below is the embalming room in the basement, where when miners would die, sometimes they would be able to be embalmed. And they did that here too. But this elevator actually works. If Michael, basically you would stand here with your shoulder against the wood of the door, and you pull hand over hand like this, and the elevator rises slowly, and Michael showed the elevator rising up.
And you don't want to pull, like she said, a lot of the everyone that starts to pull it stands
Sometimes
out.
people pull it out
stands
here.
out there, and you're not supposed
that's
to do
where you
that.
See stuff like that has happened, but stuff like that.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that because it gets it off the wheel.
Yeah, because there's actually, and I showed the wheel earlier on the film, but yeah, so you actually just you're supposed to pull it very much so it doesn't like come off its track, and then it will go back down a little bit on its own here. But when she showed us earlier, she just actually pulled and let it just roll on its own.
All right.
Okay, so we're getting on to Route 19. And this says 16, and we're getting on 19.
There's Appalachian Bible College over there. I think it's too late.
We're on New Jersey Avenue right now.
New Jersey Avenue.
In West Virginia.
In West Virginia. So, we just got done at the coal mining museum.
Yep.
Like the only one in.
Apparently,
like,
they're the only
world.
museum devoted to coal mining in West Virginia.
And I think that's pretty rad.
I think it's pretty cool.
It's pretty
and
surprising.
the thing is, like,
And Mark's constant near miss stops.
I want to run a red light in West Virginia, okay?
Why not? You've run a red light in every other state.
Just shut your mouth.
Those coal companies, man. Like, nobody from South Carolina would have been able to work there. Like,
No.
The superintendent or the guards or the coal baron or whoever, somebody was going to end up dead.
Well, it's the thing is what the tour guide was talking about, the lady who is kind of restoring the building and everything, and what she was talking about, the fact that that like it's kind of this culture of keeping people ignorant so that they don't, because they need them to work in the coal mines. And not, because coal is a huge source of energy and it's huge economic power.
And I asked her why it is that like I asked her how well the coal jobs pay, the mining jobs, and she said they pay like $160,000 a year.
Yeah, like something.
And she said that, like, and I asked her if that's the case, and West Virginia's got so many natural resources, like, why is it that their economy is so, like, why it's renowned for being poor? And what she said is that, like, because the companies are owned out of state, and like what they do is there's this effort to try and, we're making it sound like she's saying it's a conspiracy theory. I don't quite, that's what she was saying.
Currently, we have enough coal in West Virginia for about 5,000 years of coal use. And
At current levels.
At current levels, right. At current levels of coal use. And it's, so there's so much coal here, that's really like what they have, and that certain politicians who won't be named are, very anti-coal, but that when you're anti that industry, you're
anti-West Virginia.
Right, you are telling an entire state that they have to find something else to do, and they have nothing else to do.
No, they have natural gas.
But they have, at current natural gas usage.
And I really feel like it's
about 250
but they have so much
years.
forestry, and it's so beautiful, and
Right.
there's so much woodland. I feel like it's not really that different from any given southern state. It probably snows a little bit more, but like I really feel like the West Virginia has a lot to offer, because it's fantastically beautiful.
I mean,
just look at
really
that.
is a gorgeous state.
Look at the mist over there on those mountains. I feel like it should be like any other southern state, with a well-developed economy, but apparently it's not.
Again, West Virginia is not like the South. It's not really the South.
It's not a southern state. It's an Appalachian.
It's
mountain
thing.
thing.
You think about it
like I said, Southerners wouldn't generally put up with the kind of bull crap that the miners put up with.
They'd be like,
I don't think that would have lasted very long.
No.
For one thing, they would have all had guns, and they would have been able to fight against the guards. Apparently, the coal mines employed small armies of guards in order to completely control.
Yeah, like the company store where we were touring, they had he hired over 100 guards in rotation, so they would have these guards who would prevent women from like women weren't allowed to touch money and stuff like that. Like they were basically the law in these areas because the coal companies had their own legal systems. Like the law did not come in from outside. So these guards, they were all just these really they were bad cats. Like they were real undesirable.
What she was saying is that it was all about control, and they designed this building we went in. It was designed completely around having control of these people, because you stand in the center of the general store or the company store, and you can hear everything that's going around.
Yeah,
it's acoustically designed that way, and the steps were designed in such a way that 2 guards would stand in these covered areas, right, and they could look in the windows of the store and just see the reflection of everyone coming and going, and they designed the steps in such a way that women couldn't walk up the steps easily. They had to do it very quickly, so they couldn't just hang around and talk, because they didn't want women conspiring, and the men just didn't have time to conspire because they worked 18 hours a day.
18 hours a day, and they would only get paid 14 cents per ton of coal mined.
Well, they would mine 16 tons a day.
Right.
Like that old song says.
16 tons a day, and that's so. But that's what's 14 times 16? Do your math.
I mean, in 18.
I mean, it's
in
basically like $2. It's like it's
$2
just over
a
$2.40 a day, something like that.
That's pretty good for 1901.
Right. Well, but not for into the 30s when it was.
It increased
slowly, but it was a big increase when what she was talking about when the unions took over.
It became, I think,
like a couple dollars a day, right?
Yeah.
It went to $4 a day from we're talking less than $1 a day to up to $4 a day.
It was a pretty large jump.
Or less than $4 or up to $4 a ton. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So,
and it had been 80 cents a ton, and it went from 80 cents to $4.
$4. So I mean, in 1934 money, and that's a lot.
This building is significant. This building is significant because it's the only general store that's around, and so it's the only company store. The only company store.
The only one that's still standing.
That's still standing, and so basically it's a source for all the records of the income and the different, the way they were paid, and the way the script system worked and stuff like that, and all the receipts. It was very interesting. It was very interesting to learn about. I'm really glad we stopped there.
Yeah, I am too. It was really cool. It was cool to learn and hear some of the stories, some of the stories about some of the ghost stories involved in the company store and things like that. Because a lot of people have apparently died in that building as well as, and it was.
She said thousands of people died.
Yeah, several died because people were dying every day, and there was but they had to buy everything from the company store. Because there was no other store around, and then they would raise the prices, and then to pay for anything in the company store, because they basically had this thing women were not allowed to touch money for some reason. It was they had all these superstitions.
It was the superstition that women had tainted blood or had poisoned blood, and so if they touched anything that the men needed to work in the mines, they could curse it, and so the men had to handle it and do things first, and they had to take it down, and women weren't allowed to look at it or use it or touch it until the men had taken it down into the mine to use it.
So to get around women being able to touch money, so like that, for people to buy stuff, they would have to purchase scrip.
Well, no, women weren't allowed to handle money for a different reason, I thought.
Well, right, but I don't know.
It's very complex
because they hadn't earned it. It was men earned the money.
Men earned money. You couldn't.
Some weird cultural stuff for the time, but basically, they would have to, purchase scrip credit, and it's if you didn't purchase it, if you didn't purchase it the day you got paid or something like that, every day, the value of your money versus scrip went down or something like that.
Yeah, the exchange rate went down.
Went from
day
being
by day.
100% down to after 3 days it was 30%. So you're
you have an incentive to exchange it for scrip immediately. it's not exactly the way it's always portrayed. You know, that they're always continually getting deeper and deeper into debt to the company store, but it's still not exactly a.
But that did
An up and
happen.
up.
That was a common thing. You know,
Yes, but it wasn't like everything they bought. It was if they needed anything in particular.
right. They didn't make enough money for like if if somebody in their family got sick, and so they'd have to, you know, the company store would extend them like a line of credit or something like that, so they could pay, you know, for the pay for the child or something to go to the doctor, and then after that, you know, they would just deduct small amounts here and there from the paycheck to pay it off. But then, you know, so say you've got that, and then something else happens, and then say, you know, something else happens. You know, your
Your son breaks his leg.
Son breaks his leg, and then you know, your other son's. It's just like, you know, you end up being so deep in debt that when you owed that debt to the company store, you weren't allowed to leave the company. You had to continue working or die. And then when you died, they would just, you know, basically remarry your wife off for you or something like that. It was just really twisted stuff.
It's very interesting how it's a completely controlled environment. How the coal barons were able to establish something like that. It's a very well thought out, a very well constructed system.
Look at this. Man, that's gorgeous. Yeah, it really is a well thought out system. It's sick. Absolutely sick. Ooh, look at that. Well, sometimes I ask you to stop making weird noises, like clicking noises.
Well, and sometimes those weird noises that you ask me to stop making happen to be words.
Why do you say so many weird noises? We stopped in the middle of a road here because this scenery is absolutely incredible. There's like, so we're just outside of Lynchburg, Virginia right now. And holy wow. I mean, that looks kind of gross over there. But wow.
All right. All right, we need to go.